5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, we've got another episode, another show today, and we have a special guest today. But before that, we're going with the lineup. Today we got beautiful Ollie in production.
Hey guys.
All right, there you go. We got Yassi as your hostess today, aka Frenchman, and our guest today we got DJ Bender. Zach, thank you so much for coming today. How are you today,
man,
my friend?
It's a real pleasure to be here. My first time in Huntington.
There you go.
And stoked to be on your show, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How's the music business going for you?
Man,
nowadays, like with everything going on.
Yeah, it's really interesting. People talk about it a lot, and they say there's, pre-COVID, post-COVID music industry.
Right.
I think the trends that are happening are exciting and very radical.
Okay.
You're seeing huge growth in streaming, in online performance. For me, it's actually been overall a net positive, because I feel like even though certain things have definitely declined, live performance,
right,
the clubs and all that, for me, I have over the last few years mainly pivoted my business into production, mixing and mastering much more than live performance and DJing. And my experience over the last 6 months has been that, while yes, the economy has gotten hit and people are, much more financially, fragile right now, a lot of people are like, oh my God, like I got to do that music thing that I've been thinking about doing, or like, shit, I got to make a plan.
So you're working on like side projects that you've been putting aside for like a while. So now it's time to bring them up on the shelves and I know what you mean.
It's a combination, right? It's a combination of artists deciding to finally move forward on projects. Mm-hmm. And it's a combination at the same time of people streaming and moving to online. I mean, especially when the lockdown was in full effect, like from like March 20th till about May, it was just anything you posted was just double, triple doing as well. No matter how much work you put behind your social media, the engagement was just crazy. So, props to everybody that in whatever field you do, whether it's like you got a show, whether you do music, taking advantage of the trend of things going more and more online. And you're seeing that now with DJs doing virtual performances, all that.
So let me ask you, how long have you been in the business?
So I would say officially in the music business, I would say like 2008, 2009, when I first got signed to Bug Digital, which doesn't actually exist anymore. It's a subsidiary of Sony. Now I'm part of what's called the Orchard, which is the basically what became of all digital artists who are with Sony Red. And my original sort of break was getting signed with Gary Velletri, who at the time was the VP of Sony. And he put 2 of my EPs out through what's now the Orchard label.
That's actually cool, because yesterday we were looking some things up about you as well, and we learned some new things. Yamaha Music, they used to be your sponsors as well.
Yes. And
we're like, wait, is it in relationship with the Yamaha motorcycles, whatever? And we had to look it up, but they actually went their separate ways. There's the music one, and then there is the motorcycling one as well. So they're not the same entity anymore, are they?
No, they're not. And that's an interesting backstory, real brief. What I got to Yamaha by working with a guy named Brandon Mickelson, who, shout out to Brandon. He's shown me a lot of love over the years.
Shout out to Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon hooked me up with a play. I was originally with him and a woman named Monica Villa. Both of them signed me to their influencer groups. And I was an influencer for a long time before the Yamaha thing with actually Verizon. And if you look further back in my social media, you'll see me doing these campaigns for them. I was involved in the marketing campaign for them. When eventually that Verizon campaign sort of petered out, and they thought, oh, well, this guy did great with this, it would be a perfect fit for him with Yamaha, as it's more music since Brandon moved there. So the Yamaha thing was really cool. Unfortunately, one of the main things they do for me is feature me at NAMM, which, as obviously everybody understands, is kind of on hold at the moment, as are most live events.
Of course.
But they also have done stuff like they get me product, and the most exciting thing is that I actually, in concert with them, produced a short film which they featured on their Facebook page, which has almost 1 million followers, and it was actually myself playing a grand piano and talking about the importance of music and what it means to me. And so that was a really exciting thing. They feature me in several of their ad campaigns.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. So going back to, because you've been in the business, like you said, for a minute, social media, good thing or bad thing? Because in a way, it has brought up a lot of people that was like, everybody thought that, that you could just wake up and just become a DJ. If that makes sense, right?
Of course.
The DJ wannabes, they don't even want to do their homework.
Yes.
They see the machine, they're like, okay, that's easy. And next day, they're throwing a party. And, like, is that, like, a bother for you? Is that, like, a problem for you guys in some sense? Right?
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up. And actually, I would take it even further and say what's even worse than the sort of, like, influencer turned DJ, which is insane, or model turned DJ. Now it's taken to a different dimension, and you've got model turned producer. Now everybody's suddenly like, as if producing is not a life's work. Like, I always find that amazing is when I see these people and they hit me up for tips, like any tips on like how I can get this like sound. And I'm kind of like, I feel what's happening is like, look, DJing is definitely an incredible skill, and there's many levels to it, but it doesn't take an Einstein to do basic DJ.
Well, it's an art as well.
Oh my god! And you can go from anywhere from the simplest, but like to do a simple DJ party, for example, like as you're saying with these social media people, really doesn't require much. You have a little bit of a following. You come up with some tracks you like. You can YouTube how to DJ, and you put it together, and that's it. You're not going to sound like a Deadmau5 set. You're not going to sound like Chainsmokers, but you're going to have a party. Okay. Now what's starting to happen is, this is another thing. People conflate popularity on their social with leverage to do anything, even if they have no training or experience.
So they can, conflicting it with having a little party, with making a living out of it. Is that what you're trying to say in a way?
Well, not even just that. Actually, what's amazing is that you can actually make a living as a DJ, being a terrible DJ, but having a strong social media. But where they're getting it twisted, I feel, is that they also then feel like, oh, well, I can do this. I could also just invent myself overnight as a producer. And people don't realize, like, producing itself, creating music and professional sounding records, that is a life's work. That takes decades of training. Like, very few people just suddenly can figure out how to make beats overnight and are suddenly making Billboard tracks.
So based on your experience, because you've been in the game for a while, you've done a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
What makes a good DJ?
Well, I mean, what makes a good DJ, I mean, again...
In your eyes, in your experience, not, to everyone else out, like you, what do you see, like, in these upcoming DJs? Because, there's some talent out there, even with the... Absolutely, there's talent all the time. So what is the first thing that kind of just like, all right, that guy has a future?
Well, the first thing that I have to see is, are they spinning original music?
Okay.
I really don't take DJs that seriously that are not playing at least 2 or 3 songs in their set that they're the artist on. Okay. Whether that means they produced it or whether that means they're simply singing on the record. That's fine too. Okay. But at the end of the day, they still need to bring some sort of original craft to it. Now, that's not to say that there aren't successful DJs who don't make any of their own original music and have done touring and all that, but you're asking me as a producer. I'm a little bit of a producer snob. Like, I'm like, okay, this guy's spending 2 hours of other people's music. Right. It's like, for me, that's what impresses me, Then, of course, the other thing is also, I mean, the really hard thing is if somebody has really made it from the bottom and they've grinded in clubs and they've suddenly got to the point where they're all the way and they're doing headlining at spots, what one skill set that they have to have that a lot of people don't recognize is the ability to dumb down their sets. Okay. Because the hardest thing with when you're up and coming DJ is that especially if you're really good, you have to make sure you play okay at your sets, not really good. Because what'll happen is you'll threaten the main act. And then you're going to all of a sudden be in a position. Now, it depends. This also has to do with who you are. For example, if you're a cute girl, okay, you're probably not going to piss off the headline DJ guy. He might take you aside and be like, hey, look, babe, like, take it easy, okay? You're playing a lot of my songs. But if you're a guy, okay, and especially if you've got a look and a vibe, a little style, you're dressing nice, you got your stuff together, all that, you may never walk in that club again. Whoa. And they might smile in your face and say you did a great set, and the next thing you know,
you're never coming back.
It's all they've blocked. Oh yeah, and this is somebody who's gone from doing opening sets for big people, and I've also headlined festivals, but I've opened up for DJs, and literally everybody was cheering and was doing great. and I thought I did a great set. People were coming and asking me for my Instagram, all this stuff. And I walked up to the people who worked with the people who were coming on after, and they looked at me like they never wanted to see me again.
Right.
Okay. So that's something that's really important. So being able to finesse,
right,
understanding where you are and how to spin and what the crowd is looking for. I mean, it's a lot of different attributes that go into a successful DJ.
Okay, cool. Now let me go to a different side of DJing.
Sure.
Back in the day, any DJ, like, whenever they have a concert or whatever, the drugs, everything is going on. Is that still going right now in, the clubs, whatever? Like, do you have to take a little bit of Molly or ecstasy to really be in that good vibe with the DJ? Or do you feel like that has kind of become a little bit part of the past?
I don't know. I think it's very cultural, and it's also genre specific.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's gone anywhere. I think
Okay.
I do think it's still a very electronic music
part of it,
especially.
right.
It's part of it.
Right.
And it's definitely to the point where it's destroyed a lot of artists. I mean,
right.
there's some artists that just get straight burnt out because they just do too much of it and
Right.
they just run out of steam. They just
Right.
run out of breath.
Right.
It's hard to say where things are going to go. I feel like we're in the midst of a major reset in terms of like what is live performance going to look like post pandemic. Will there be opportunities to maybe increase regulation or make it a little bit different? But certainly when I was doing festivals, this
Right.
was say like 2011, 2012, 2013, I would get off the stage and it was just like a sea of teenagers
Right.
on Molly, just blown out of their mind. Now, what's kind of, and it's funny, it's like, I don't, listen, like, I don't promote heavy drug use. I think
Right.
it's something that's like, what's one thing to experiment, but doing anything too much regularly is not good. But I will say one thing I love about, because I've DJed in lots of different genres, lots of different clubs.
Right.
What I loved about the kind of Molly-filled festivals is that, I never once, when I was performing with those kids, was told to play certain kind of music.
Right.
I was never told any requests. Everything I played was just great.
You go in and do your own
I
thing.
go in and do my own thing, and that's what they want.
Right.
They want you to do you, as opposed to like hip hop clubs
Right.
and mainstream Hollywood, where they can't stand when you do you. They really want you to be like a dancing
Exactly.
FM
Right.
station. They want you to be their radio station, except in the club.
Right.
And it's like, why don't y'all just rent a disco ball and set it up in your living room and save everybody a lot of headaches?
Exactly. It makes
like,
no
get
sense.
out of here.
Right. You're
bro.
outside, like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, bro, so-
I've seen it actually happen in multiple clubs, actually here in LA and a little bit in OC as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what you're talking about. Okay. So, we talked a little about the COVID. Let's go in deep into the COVID stuff.
Sure.
Do you think that this COVID stuff is real? Because a lot of people, when you come out right now, you go to and mostly, so I live in Huntington Beach.
Right.
People here don't give a crap about, social distancing, about masks.
I'm noticing
You've
that. I'm noticing it a little.
Yeah, people here are not big fans of anything
Right.
that's going on. So I get it. The CDC's, they want us to be careful. We listen to Dr. Fauci all the time, whatever. The problem is and we know media is most of it is like BS right now.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you listen to? What do you do? Do you listen to Fox News? Do you listen to CNN?
Right.
Do you actually believe Trump? Do you actually go against Trump? Do you go for the
Right.
CDC, against the CDC? It's so much going on right
Yeah.
now. So I know you've got your audience going. You've got your followers going. What do you tell them?
Well, this is what I tell them, and I think it's really important to separate certain things because everything seems to get conflated, and that's never good, okay? You can have a serious situation with this pandemic, which I believe it is, but that doesn't mean you agree with government policy.
Right.
So this is where I'm at. I don't believe that shutting down the economy, the way that we're doing it, indiscriminately in different businesses and not doing it with quite of a comprehensive plan and not doing it with data to back up where people are actually getting sick is necessarily the best move. Okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean that what I'm saying is that there's not a serious virus that's going
Right.
on. Okay. There definitely is. I believe that people are getting sick. Do I think that, lots of young people are going to get sick? No. Do I think your individual odds are high to get sick? Probably not. But the thing is that, I think what people don't understand is like, well, if it's not that serious and it's only like, say, 1% chance or whatever, then what we're doing, we're destroying the economy by doing these shutdowns, and let's just like, let's just move on, and some people are going to get sick. But
it is higher than 1% right now.
It is higher than 1%.
Right. It is much higher than 1%.
Way higher.
Way higher. So the numbers have been changing to the worst.
Right.
We've been talking about the second wave. Second wave is already here.
Right.
Because a lot of people are dying in OC alone. A lot of people are dying in the whole country.
Exactly.
Florida, Texas, California. I get it, because we still have to worry about tomorrow, next year, the year after, economy-wise. I get what you're saying.
But what we should do,
Right.
the best move, and I think what would have been the solution,
What?
is a strong, huge lockdown immediately from the federal government.
I agree.
We should have, and this is where I do fault the president. I do believe that he was kind of in a position where, look, he was thinking, all right, well, maybe it's going to fade out. Maybe it's going to dissipate over time, and it's going to run its course. It's not running its course.
Right.
He was warned that it wouldn't run its course.
And it's still here.
And it's still here. And that's why the best move, and we were all making fun of being like, oh, the Chinese, they're crazy.
Right.
Look at them. They're forcing their people inside. They got drones hanging out. But guess what? Unfortunately, that is low-key what it takes to get it under control. Now we're in the situation where the economy is not really coming back, and we don't have control over the virus.
Right.
And we already wasted months being locked down. We might as well have it been mandated, complete shutdown, only allow for food delivery, grocery store trips, and that's it. For
Kind of go like what Italy, Spain, France did.
Yeah, look at,
like,
and you can see where that you can see that
they
their
went back
trends
to normal, right?
They're back to normal, and their trends are where they're at, and we're still here. And so I'm, unfortunately, don't think I actually think it's still going to be bad for a while,
Absolutely.
unless we get some sort of either a treatment, a vaccine, or a new federal policy.
I agree with you. I feel like it's only going to keep getting worse, because even when they shut everything up and they were like, you can't do this, you can't do that, people were still out. People were still at the beach.
Exactly.
People were still at the grocery store fighting for toilet paper. Not food. And I get food for survival.
Right.
Toilet paper.
Yes.
Like, that is crazy.
No, it's totally crazy.
Exactly. There is some things, okay, I need water, I need food to survive.
It's just coming down to a lack of leadership.
A lack of leadership, and people not knowing what they're doing. They don't have, you're right, a lack of leadership.
But it's also, listen, United States, we're a great country. I love living in the U.S., but the pandemic is exposing a lot of our Achilles heels. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the reality. It's really easy to think that America is all fine and dandy when things are good. Now we're going into a time when things are bad, when we desperately need cultural unification,
right,
societal unification, and unfortunately, we're so divided. There's so much of toxicity in the data that we get through social media and everything that I don't blame people for not knowing what to believe. I mean,
right,
the conspiracy theory stuff, whether you believe that stuff or not, right, it's so prevalent that, it's difficult for people to come together.
I truly believe that if there was ever a time to actually unite, this was a time.
Yes.
During a pandemic, which can't get any worse than it is right now.
Right.
This is the time for the left and the right to come together
100%, bro.
and be together about most of the issues and try to help the people. They didn't do that, and that's a big problem. And we think we're paying for it now. No. We're going to be paying for it for years and years to come.
Yes.
We haven't seen all of it. Okay, so with the COVID going on and stuff, now does that actually? Were you did you have any plans for this year or next year? Like when it comes to were you planning on going to Europe, DJing over there? Or
I did have a couple opportunities that have been put on hold to be able to possibly do some shows in Europe. Right. That's on hold. All shows are on hold.
Right.
And I go to New York very often, and that's my hometown. And I usually do a trip in June for business, and I do one in the fall and winter. I have no idea if that's happening.
Right.
So no, I mean, it's been very, very difficult. My mother lives in San Diego. I haven't been able to see her for months.
Right.
So it's very difficult. And I feel for everybody that hasn't been able to see family.
So you've actually
overseas.
been doing it the right way, because San Diego is only about an hour and a half drive, but you still keeping your social distance in a way from family. And
I
stuff.
have only been able to see my father on a couple occasions, and he's a physician, and he takes it very seriously. And he has a barbecue area at his place, and we make steaks outside, and I think it's pretty low risk.
There you go.
So he feels comfortable with that. And with my mother, she has a few pre-existing conditions. She's had issues with pneumonia, so I've been tested, but I also don't want to catch it where she lives. She lives in a retirement community, and it's like it's just risks all around.
Oh, absolutely. So let's go after another issue with all the protests that's been going on lately. So what's your take on it? You saw what happened in Minneapolis. You saw what happened in Atlanta.
Yes.
You've seen what's been happening, for all these past years, and mostly in the last couple of months, a lot of stuff has been out.
Absolutely.
So are you with abolishing the police? Are you with defunding the police? Are you with reforming the police? Where are you at with this whole Black Lives Matter issue, with the whole police issue? Because right now we feel like we have to take a side more than ever.
Yes.
Or, there is no middle gray line anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there's extremes on both sides. I 100% support what the Black Lives Matter movement in its truest essence is all about. Okay, we absolutely need police reform. There is absolutely systemic racism in this country. The evidence of that is abundant.
Right.
Does that mean this? I don't understand this whole defund the police thing. Perhaps it's like a lack of my own expertise within the area.
Right.
I think we need leadership. Again, I come back to federal leadership to talk about how serious what happened to George Floyd was. I mean, I think it was one of the worst things I've ever seen on video since the 9/11 attack. Honestly,
it was murder on camera.
It was murder on camera, and it was almost insane to the point where it was like it felt like this guy was like really like assassinated for some sort of, in a way to cause more divide and to just, it was unbelievable.
But it's been happening for years and years and years.
No, that's totally been happening.
And no one has been doing anything about it.
No, of course.
Yeah.
We're in total agreement on that. Right. I just think that, I do think that this, particular circumstance, along with the combination of, not having somebody at the top, I mean, in ways, somebody who, has condoned basically, racial attacks or stood silent when not only have blacks and Hispanics been persecuted, but Jews. I'm Jewish, and I've seen a huge rise in anti-Semitism.
Absolutely.
That's definitely getting out of hand. And so, we need to really focus on coming together. I do not think it was a coincidence that we had this massive level of unrest at the same time that all this other stuff is going on. I think this country is really strained. The fabric of like who we are as a nation, there's massive income inequality. There's a lot of economic disparity. We can probably get into how we can work on that and how we can finesse that a little bit more and improve the situation.
Well, the first things first, that training-wise, how can you train a police officer in 6 months?
Right.
That's my question. How could you do an academy for 6 months? I mean, when was the last time you heard for any job, any title where they went in for like a degree or a diploma or anything that is only done in 6 months? Now, we have a kid coming out of high school or whatever, and then he does 6 months of school. We give him a baton, a badge, and a taser, and a gun.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, hey, go for it.
Yes. I mean, I think there's two different types of issues with these, quote, bad cops.
Right.
One are these cops who are just, there's unfortunately just some people who go into police because they want to shoot people. Okay?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that's a majority of these cops. I don't. But I do think there are, you've got millions of cops. You're going to get a percentage of them that are like that. Then you've just got ones who maybe they don't want to do that, but they're not psychologically trained enough. They're not weapons trained enough. They don't have enough, background training so that when they get into that circumstance, they're not prepared how to defuse it. They're not prepared how to get the situation more under control. So when you combine the cops that just want to shoot people and the cops that don't know how to control their weapon, you're going to get a large percentage of cops who are going to make mistakes and people are going to die. And now, and of course, yes, it is, like disproportionately affecting people of color. I mean, dude, and it's also because of the power mechanism of society. I mean, let one of these cops run up and shoot a white Jewish kid from Bel Air.
Right.
Okay? In his Macan. Okay? And that police station will literally be shut down within 2 weeks. It'll be over. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's like people, it's really sad, but it's like people get taken advantage of when they don't have the power in society and the economic wherewithal to be able to defend themselves. These cops know, okay, if they get into it with some, Hispanic guy who's been doing some stuff on the street, and he's just like, the rest of the time he's just like a low income worker. What lawyer is he going to hire? He's not going to, who's he going to call to defend them? And so we really need to get, a much more of a balance and equality in the society. That's
absolutely. People are tired of it and they want to change now. Not tomorrow, not next year. They're tired of it and they want to change now.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears again to something more happy.
Cool.
Your Lakers. Think they're going to close the deal this year?
Dude, I really hope so, man, because, Lakers is one of the first teams when I moved up from New York that I really got into, and I was so sad about Kobe, and I was just
right.
Oh, dude, well, that's another thing.
Do you remember LA when Kobe passed away? Like, it was literally like, I know it was a little bit before COVID, but all of LA was depressed.
It was unbelievable. It was really, honestly, I think it set a tone for the year.
Right.
It was just like unbelievable. And, we lost somebody who was such a, an example of, sportsmanship and an example of just, class, really, how to be out there and just, not to mention just what a brilliant athlete. But
no, brilliant mind as well. Because, dude, he just won 5 championships. He retires, and then he wins an Oscar. And he just literally retired within a year or two of him retiring. He won an Oscar. First of all, never been done before, I believe. I don't think so. Imagine what he could have done in the next 10, 20 years.
I mean, I really hope that, like, and I'm also I'm a big fan of LeBron too. Okay. I think what he's doing is really cool with the schools, and I mean, I don't know, we'll get to see if he's going to be able to really fill the shoes of what Kobe did on the team.
I was going to tell you. I mean, this is still Kobe's sound. Even if LeBron wins it this year and next year.
There's you can't. It's not the same thing. But still, I think that, I hope that he gets the chance. I hope that, it'd be good for the Lakers are good for LA. Okay. It's one area where I think, I feel like LA unfortunately has a lot of divisions in it. Mm-hmm. There's such both some are racial, some are cultural, a lot of it is class. But one thing is that I do feel I also think part of why we're having so much, sort of like social unrest is because we have no sports.
Right.
And I do think getting sports back on some level, even if we got to get these guys on TV. Because I think that people need something to do, something positive.
I get what you're saying, but just because, first of all, I'm worried about all the players because this COVID thing is super serious. I'm not sure how safe that bubble is.
Oh, right, I heard the whole bubble thing.
That's my problem.
No, I think the bubble, the more I think is like they're going to have to get regularly COVID tested.
Right.
And if they knew they were going to be they would take it seriously if they knew that the testing was going to be happening on a regular basis.
Westbrook just got it. I don't know if he was. I don't think he was in the bubble.
Yeah, so you think they're all going to get it?
Well, if one gets it,
exactly. No, it's hard. I mean, it's hard for any contact sport. It's
I think they should have scratched this season. I get that people need sports right now, but not basketball. Not basketball. I thought like it was too dangerous for them to be bringing basketball this early.
Right.
You should have. I hope they scratch this season because. Let's say someone wins it, whether it's the Lakers, the Bucks, the Clippers. I know you hope it's not the Clippers, right? That's the team,
I've been to a couple of Clippers games.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm not that emotionally attached to either because I'm not from LA.
That's my pick, by the way, for the year. If
Clippers?
I think so. I think they got a solid team.
They're a solid team. I like the fans whenever I see Clipper games. I feel like Laker fans. A lot of them just go there to be seen.
The Lakers and the Clippers. Lakers fans are the greatest in the nation. Period.
Yeah,
man. You guys love your basketball.
Yeah.
Clippers are building up. It's a new organization. But hey, man, they got a team this year. They got a good shot.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, I always felt like Clippers guys, they were there to actually be part of the game. And sometimes some of the people at the Lakers, it's more to be seen at a Lakers game at its height. Right. It was a lot about photos and the celebrities and all that stuff. So sometimes, as dope as it was a Lakers game, the hype was crazy.
Right.
It also was like a little bit kind of like a little bit Hollywood-esque and kind of like fake.
It is Hollywood, right?
Right, but as opposed to Clippers were just raw basketball.
Yeah, it is raw basketball. But plus, even with Kawhi being here, the tickets are still like, you can find them for $10 to $30 a ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like actually more inclusive.
It was a good matchup between that team and the owner. The owner is a zillionaire, first of all. He's super rich.
Yeah.
Doesn't care how much he sells the ticket for. He wants to win. He wants to win, and plus he just wants to fill up seats. He wants the home crowd to get accustomed to the team and stuff. He brought in big players, Kawhi, Paul George in one year, and he still has a good backup, crew. They got a good shot. Bucks are super good, man. Giannis is a beast. I think he's gonna become the best player in the league in the next year or two, and he won't even be close because right now he's already the top 2, top 3. But I feel like in a year or two.
So your call is to scratch 2020 completely.
I feel like this is a safe call. I mean, we got football to look forward to. I feel like if we do a good shutdown, as you said, we do a good stay at home, whatever.
I'm actually in agreement on that. I really don't. I mean, I get it. Like, look, if I was in the sports business, I'd want it to start up too. So I feel for all these guys. But I don't see how when you're getting this many people sick and all this stuff, how we can really focus on anything except getting the situation under control until then. And also, I think it's a message to society. Like, if you want all of these things back that we love, well, then wear your mask and get your shit together and get it to go and behave, So that's a big issue.
And people are confused. They're like, you got to breathe the oxygen. Dude, we're not experts. I'm not going to sit here without a medical degree and explain what the hell experts are talking about. These guys, they know what they're saying. That's what they went to school. That's what their expertise is. Wear your mask. If you can't breathe, walk away, get a fresh of breath air.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that's about.
They're like, you can't breathe oxygen and you got
nobody wants to wear these masks all the time, dude. Believe me, I don't like it either. And but it's like one of those things where, especially, I understand it's hard right now in the summer, but it's kind of like, what I think it is. I take for granted having 2 parents who are physicians and being educated, and it's sort of like one of those things where a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't have anybody in their life who they can turn to, who they respect and they can trust, and can say, look, Jimmy, look, little Jimmy, okay, you got to wear your mask, and we're going to all get through this, and it's going to be over. And all they have is TV, internet, and they look on the TV, they see the president for months not wearing a mask, not taking it seriously. You've only got the nerdy doctor on there saying it's important, and the president's looking over at him like this. It's like, I'm not blaming all of this on Trump. I'm just saying that, like, science is one of those things where, look, America's low when it comes to our, proficiency in science and math. We're like 40-something. So are we really surprised that when we have a crisis in this country that's based around the fundamentals of science that we're doing terribly at it?
Right.
Like, to me, it's like, well, no-ish, like, of course we're going to do terribly. I don't think there's a big surprise at how terrible we're doing because we're just not a sound, educated society.
Right.
When you have a lot of education, you don't get confused by conspiracy theories. Your brain works different. You look at videos on the internet and you go, okay, all right, but like, let's see if this matches the research. When you don't have education, it's just that. And then what happens is, it's easier for people. It's a lazy response.
Right.
It's way easier to be like, this is BS. I don't like the mask. I don't want to deal with it. Let's just get back to normal. It's like, duh, dude, everybody wants that.
Everybody thinks everybody thinks that they become just an expert overnight, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? They read a little bit about something, they go to the internet, like you said, and they just like, oh my God, they're trying to do this to us, or they're trying to do that to us.
Yeah, and it's also assuming everything is nefarious. I mean, this is another thing. It's like, okay, so the CDC thought one thing one time, then they changed it. Oh, they're corrupt, they're shady,
everything
they're lying.
An inside job.
Oh, are they lying now, or were they lying then? It's like, dude, science works. Like, it's a new virus. Like, this is what people, like your listeners, need to understand.
Well, dude, I don't know who came out and said, well, this is not the first COVID that came out.
It's like, dude.
I was like, wait, what?
Okay, but it's called 19. There was never a 19 before.
Right, because 2019. That's why COVID came out in 2019.
Yeah, COVID-19, it's a new germ, and it's like, this idea that everybody, the experts are, of course, like, let me explain something to people. Okay, this is important for my people, too, that follow me and understand this.
It was actually someone from Trump's office that said it. Ali, do you know who said that? she came out. She was like, I forgot who it was, but she was like, yeah, she was talking to CNN. She was like, do you guys think this was the first COVID? And I'm like,
I'll find out. Hold on.
Yeah, it was like, I know.
It's like,
it was like someone big over there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, dude, data gets changed and it's updated. And that's another thing. It's like, it's the same people. It's these same people who are arguing like, oh, well, like they said, that global warming is going to change. It's like, epidemiologists often, update things. And look, things might get better due to technical solutions. But until we have those technical advances and solutions, we have to assume the worst. In the 1960s, epidemiologists predicted that by the 1990s, we'd have mass starvation. Okay? Based on where we were making food at that time and the way population was growing, it was not going to work.
Right.
But what happened? There were advances in science, and farming got much more complex. They were able to mass grow all types of stuff. We had this major agrarian revolution.
Right.
Okay, so yes, things can change, and that's what people need to understand. It's very likely this whole idea that the pandemic is going to take 3 or 4 years may not be true at all. It may take 1 more year, but until we're given like a guarantee, like this vaccine works and it's out and we can then take it and be done with it, until we're at that level, the only thing that's going to keep it from being 4 years is literally stopping the spread.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Hey, we got to do our homework. We got to do our part.
That part.
If we want to make it better, man, we have to do our part.
It was Kellyanne Conway, by the way.
Kellyanne
well,
Conway,
don't
yes.
get me.
Yeah, she's like, this is COVID-19, not COVID-1, folks.
Oh, okay, well then, forget all that.
Yeah,
they got her off TV.
Kellyanne, yeah, she's a character.
She's a character.
She's a character. Okay, so going back to see, we started talking about sports.
We were trying to get positive. Let's try again here.
We try to circle back COVID because this is our life right now. That's
how can you avoid it, bro?
How could you avoid it? Exactly.
I feel you on that.
So going back to the basketball stuff, did you hear about the snitch line they started in that bubble?
No.
So they started a new snitch line where players, they give them a phone number that they can call and snitch at anyone on the bubble who's acting goofy.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that's a good thing, bad thing?
Well, it's funny. When we started this conversation, I was warm to bringing back sports because I do feel that it's important for society.
Right.
But the more we talk about it, the more I realize it's going to be a disaster.
It is absolutely 100%.
Disaster. You know what I mean?
See a guy like Joel Embiid because he's so dominant and big and whatever.
Right.
And he's snapping. He's like, yeah, I'm about to lose 50 pounds in this bubble because the food, man, it is not that good.
Right.
It is not that good. And a big boy like Joel Embiid,
yeah,
he needs to eat.
Totally.
He needs to eat. So
exactly.
Trust me, man.
Yeah.
It is not. I don't know if.
And a lot of them. I mean, I also see like, how are you gonna play with nobody in the fans? Like in the stadium, like the whole thing with no fans. I'm not saying you can't do it.
It is what I will tell you about that. So I watch soccer as well, European soccer. Mm-hmm. It worked in Spain because, like for example, in Spain, what they did was they put in these fake fans on the stand with the sound. So every time the home team is about to attack or about to score,
what is it, like virtual reality?
Yeah, so
like
people
that kind
would
of stuff.
Submit their photos.
Are you serious?
And then they would put them on the seats.
Which is a cool idea. Hey, not bad for what they're working with.
Right.
Not bad. Spain is getting back, but because they opened their doors, and now we can, well, not us in the U.S. can fly to Spain, but a lot of countries in the world that are doing okay with COVID, they can fly to Spain now. But it doesn't mean just because, they're doing that, they're going to let people into soccer stadiums and they're going to let festivals happen.
Indoor versus outdoor is a huge difference. Soccer and, European football, it's all outside.
They stock up people, man, in those stadiums. It's
they
no
do
joke.
stack up.
Oh, yeah, man.
It
could be even, I'm not going to say as big as a football stadium, but it's up there.
Yeah.
It's very up there. So, they're still being super careful. Italy is being careful. Spain is being super careful. When just 2-3 months ago, Italy was the worst country.
So are they doing the
world.
Bubble thing with those players?
They're not doing the bubble. No, they're still flying to other cities and stuff.
But they're being regularly tested.
They're just being regularly tested.
Right.
They're bringing in the fake fans. Social distancing. When they even score, you see them, instead of hugging each other, you see them fist bumping, that kind of stuff. So, even the culture is different.
Yeah.
This is why Europe sometimes can be better than we are over here. Because we're super spoiled over here, just a little bit.
Well, it's super spoiled, and there's an element where we're just a me culture.
Right.
And that works, like I said earlier, that works great when things are going well.
Right.
But when things go down, we make fun of all these cultures where it's like you say they're socialized, or they're always, they put country over people and they don't have enough individualism. But when you have a crisis, it's like, the countries that are fully about individual and me, it's like we're in chaos.
Yep.
Because we can't. One city is fighting. You got governors and mayors suing each other now.
Right.
I mean, that's where all this is leading.
Orange
if we don't
County HB was one of the first places that wanted to sue Newsom for not letting them be in the beach, for not letting them open.
They were ready to throw down. They were like, we're Orange County.
OC doesn't mess around. I get it.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
But dude, that's not the way to go about it, because again. Great, you're gonna fight a fight that is you're trying to open up super quick. So
I'm not sure where this narrative came from. Also, that Gavin Newsom is like anti-business. The guy's a multi-millionaire. He owns properties, businesses. He's losing money too. Like, I don't understand this. I feel like that's another thing we do in this country too much. If like somebody has a policy we don't like, we label them as like they're a communist or they're like this anti-business. I don't see that. I'm not saying that I don't necessarily think. I think that if we learn more we need more data on where the spread's happening.
We don't have any data because again, this is our first year with this thing.
That's my problem with the lockdowns. I feel like it's like, do I really think that all of these tens of thousands of new cases are coming from indoor dining, where people are pretty much being careful, or are they coming from lots of Generation Y 20-year-olds partying and hanging out where they're not supposed to and then spreading it to their folks? I really think the latter is much more likely.
Like how Florida is losing its mind.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, like I said, this is our first year with this thing. We didn't know what was coming.
Right.
We didn't know how to deal with it. We started with this. China started it in December. We didn't know about it till maybe February. I'd say.
Exactly.
Okay, so February, we're in July right now. So about 5 months. They still don't have a vaccine.
Right.
As of today, 5 months. The greatest country in the world, the U.S., England, whatever, all the greatest countries in the world. They've all been working together. We still don't have a vaccine.
Vaccines they're not quick to make.
They're not easy. They're not. But I'm just saying. There is a need for this vaccine right now.
Yes.
The economy is shot. A lot of people are hurt. A lot of people are dying. So I know they're working overtime.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Phasing it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're still not there yet. It's 5 months later.
Right.
So this, again, if the experts are not there 5 months later, trust me, you need to be careful with your health. Because we always keep, it is the thing. And me too, I was like super on the border in a way until it hit one of my friends. Mm-hmm. He calls me and he's like, dude, this was a couple of months ago. He's like, dude, I got it.
Sick.
Yeah, and he's, my buddy is like super healthy, super good. He's like a soccer coach.
Yep.
And he was like, dude, he's African descent. And he's like, dude, I dodged Zika. I dodged Ebola, and now I got the COVID. I'm like, I don't know if I should laugh or I should, like, you know what I mean? He just hit me with it.
I had a few weeks back, I had an Uber driver who was a total, like, one of these Fox News guys, very right wing. Think the whole thing is BS. I don't know anybody with, I don't know this and that. And it's like, I said to him, I was like, give it time. And look, and even in my time, it was only friend of a friend or this person. Now I know 3 people directly that I know, like, not like degrees of separation, that I know that have gotten it. 2 of them got really sick. We're talking, and that's another thing. People were like, oh, okay, well, like, yeah, but you're probably not going to die from it. I'm like, yeah, but dude, you really want to get really sick right now in the middle of summer, like, and be sick as a dog for weeks, and you don't know, like, how sick you're going to get. I just think, I don't know.
Having a fever sucks already. And then you get the COVID, the not breathing, everything. Yeah, this is not something the ER can fix overnight with a Walgreens prescription.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't just go and just make it better just like that. I'm just telling you, people, be careful. This is super dangerous, super serious. What was that actor that just passed away? You're
talking about the guy from Broadway?
Yes.
Let me see what his
name is.
The guy
from Broadway.
Something.
Yeah. He just passed away. Super
No, I
young.
know. Oh, yeah, the 41-year-old
Yeah,
kid.
dude. 41. Left a beautiful wife and kid behind.
I know. Crazy.
Yeah, Nick Cordero.
I mean,
oh, yeah, Nick.
Damn.
No, and this poor kid, the poor guy, before he died, he spent months, he had to get something amputated.
His legs.
So he was like, not only did he die, he suffered, then he died. I'm like, and
his wife was doing like a day-by-day thing at one point. Telling people how he was doing. He was just slowly asking for people to deteriorating.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know much about him. I know he was big on Broadway. Broadway is not really my thing.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of him either.
Right, but when I went to look for him, this guy was big.
He was good friends with Zach Braff. The guy from Scrubs.
But he's been around, and he's a really good, at what he does, which is Broadway. And dude, I just felt bad because I've seen his family and his little kid. I think his kid was like maybe a year old or something like that. I know he left like a super young kid, and his wife so young.
I mean, personally, what I think is that what we need, and this is what I've been saying for a little bit too. The government needs to step in with a mega information campaign about masks. Okay. So we should be seeing, your TV should be going blank, and it should come up with a siren.
Like the old days when it should shut off at 2 a.m.
Absolutely.
Every couple hours.
We're in the middle of a major pandemic. Like we have a dangerous virus on the loose. You absolutely must wear your mask. And I think the emphasis, instead of hitting businesses, to me, I understand the policy. Like, I get the concept of what it is, but I'm confused to me as to why there's so much emphasis on shutting things down when people can just accumulate somewhere else, and versus really enforcing mask policy, a massive mask outreach, getting masks delivered to American households, and all these other things to,
Well, the problem right now is following up with this stuff, because a lot of governors come out and they're like, you have to wear your mask. You have to do this. If you come back from this place or that place, you have to quarantine for 14 days. Yeah, I get it, but how do you follow up? I mean, I'll give you an example. My parents flew from here to Chicago about a week and a half ago. And, they have to quarantine for 14 days, and they have been quarantining for, whenever, for the last week or whatever.
Right.
But how do they know that they're home? They're not out. How do you know that someone is quarantining or not? That's my question.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
How do you, when people are out, why don't you just make it a law or a temporary law where you're not wearing your mask? Here's $100 ticket. The second time is going to be $250. The third time is going to be $1,000. I promise you, people will wear their masks then.
I'll tell you this, and this is something interesting that my father said. He says, just so you know, this is, and I don't mean like in a conspiracy way, but in a way, it's like this is like a test run for you to see how, if a virus got out in the United States that had a high mortality rate and it was airborne, you can forget about it, because you're seeing the inability of people to come together and follow policy. So if anything, we should just be grateful that it's only 3 to 5%,
right,
and not 50%,
right?
Okay, because and people also, that's another thing people have to understand, and one thing that's really important about the science of this, it takes a long time for you to get symptoms, if you get symptoms at all. So that's the reason why, in other situations it was easy to tamp down, but because I hear a lot of that, like, it'll just peter out the way like H1N1 petered out, and the way Ebola, Ebola, by the time you could get somebody sick with Ebola, you've got blisters all over your face, and you're on a
you got Ebola before you even get that.
That's what I'm saying, bro. You're practically dead before you're gonna get somebody sick. This shit is a different level. Like, people don't understand that. Again, it just comes back to, I'm like, please, like, read more, consume less.
And the problem, even if you think your friend doesn't have it, he might have it and might not have the symptoms, and he might pass it to you, and you might get the worst symptoms in the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so you gotta be careful, man.
It's good to see you on top of it, bro.
Yeah, if people want to play with their lives, you can't make them do otherwise. No, you can't. It's their choice.
I mean? Yeah,
it's their choice. All right, again, we're gonna try to go to a happy zone. Again, we're gonna come back to COVID probably. But so let's say football season comes back. Who you got?
Well, I'm old school Giants fan.
Okay.
I love Eli.
You can't tell me, that's your pick. I mean,
that's not my picks.
Your pick? I mean, they got a solid team this year.
I don't know. I mean, I think like for sure New England could do it again.
Okay.
New
England. You mean the Chiefs or New England?
Patriots.
Okay. You think so? With the whole new crew, with the new QB and everything.
Still got the leadership though.
Of who? Belichick?
Yeah, I mean,
but like, he's missing a lot of pieces.
That's true.
They sucked, man. Last year.
Yeah, that's true.
And plus, with who? With Baltimore?
With
the Chiefs?
I think. I just think it depends. It's also going to be about the kind of. They've got loyal fans. They got a loyal support structure.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
The Giants got good fans.
That's true.
That's not going to get you much.
That's not going to get you much.
Far.
No, dude. Well, I mean, I felt like the run with Eli was dope, and it's like, to me, that's another. I mean, I think these outdoor sports coming back sooner than the other ones makes sense. So like, if football was to happen, it's more. I don't know.
Here is the biggest question about Eli.
Yeah.
So as a Giant fan, I know you're gonna a little bit biased about it. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer? That's a rough one, huh?
Yeah, that's a rough one because his record he doesn't have the Hall of Fame record, but he's got it.
He doesn't have a Hall of Famer record exactly, but hey, he's got the rings as much as his brother. His brother is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question about that. Totally. But man, what do you do with him?
It's a super tough. It's a super tough call. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To be honest, like with most of football, I've always found that that things switch on a dime with this stuff, and I think that we're starting to see different teams get their shine and get their grow and become part of American culture, like how KC has been growing so much, and like we've seen them, so that I think is the most interesting part.
Right.
Is kind of, I do think we're at the end of it. I mean, while I do think Any could have another couple runs, I do think we kind of come to the end of that dynasty.
It was about done because, and you guys tried to milk it all the way to the end, but man, it just was not working. Like every season has become like a failed season. And by the way, I'm a Bears fan. Trust me, it's been sucky for us for a while too, man. Yeah. And mostly with the quarterback position, it's just we haven't been lucky.
You couldn't believe that they've only won one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We had to Google.
Yeah, I had to actually Google the Bears has only had one Super Bowl. I thought they actually had that too, way before my time, but they only had the one.
Yeah, so only one back with Walter Payton.
So like I said, QB position has hurt us big time, from Rex Grossman to, couple shady QBs, and then we get to the Cutler one that has no personality, and then we get finally to Trubisky, which has been one of the biggest busts in history.
So what do you think of?
Well, now we have what's his name? Jesus Christ! What's the QB that won it with Philadelphia with the Eagles? Nick? No, not Nick.
Hold on.
God, I always forget his name.
You got your comp expert over here.
Yeah, what's his name? The Eagles' old QB.
Hold on.
They just acquired him from the Jaguar. They traded big time for him. We should have went into a rebuild this year. Yeah, it didn't happen. Foles. So we got Foles.
Right.
Foles is a problem. He's good in playoffs.
Yeah.
We need to get to the playoffs. But during the season, he always gets hurt.
So you think you see the season starting this year?
For who?
For football, just period.
Oh no, I think it's gonna.
Yeah.
I think. Again, I this is kind of like wishful thinking.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to see a football season this year, but is it going to happen? It depends how we are the next month or two.
I know my old man's waiting for baseball.
I'm kind of like, I
we feel that as Cubs fans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're big Cubs fans. So I've been seeing a lot of QBs, a lot of players that have been getting ready for the season, which is nice to see in their social media and stuff.
Totally.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice, to see that kind of stuff. But we want to see a good football season without any problems. Going back to the NBA needs to shut its season right now, or it's gonna get much worse, because imagine the bad PR the NBA will have if one of the players in that bubble gets it and loses his life.
No,
that's really bad PR for them.
Yeah, totally.
Because now,
especially when we just had this whole Kobe thing this year.
Exactly, and it doesn't matter whether it's a big player or a small player.
And I also think these sports teams these guys are cultural icons that also lead the nation. Right. So what is it saying that everybody's got to stay inside and we can't go into indoor dining, we can't go to a bar and have a drink, but yet
and you're having all of them in one place.
Play sports.
Exactly.
It's just going to I really do, and I do think in that sense that's kind of why everything being shut down until this shit is done is honestly makes more sense logically and logistically than trying to do this whack-a-mole thing where we can maybe try for a little bit and then we have to shut this down again and then let it go happen again. So I think that's,
it's going to be boring. Let's watch Australian cricket or rugby for a minute, and, just scratch this year off. And in 3-4 months, it's going to get better.
Yeah, totally.
Again, let's go back to Europe. Let's see them as an example. Italy, Spain, France. They just had really bad cases just 2-3 months ago.
I was so bummed because I love hockey and I wanted to go see some Kings games. And
some Rangers games as well. You're a Rangers fan,
Rangers is my OG team, and obviously, of course, now that I'm out here, even though I'm not crazy about the fans, I do like to go see the Kings too.
Okay.
But I saw Messier win the cup, Richter, those guys. I grew up with the '94 Rangers. I mean, I got the Messier jersey.
I went to a couple Blackhawks game. It was a lot of fun, and I went during the year.
Those are great fans. I hated the Blackhawks like I hate the New Jersey Devils because they're always the biggest threat to the Rangers. But Chicago, I mean, look, you got to go to the cold states to get the best hockey fans.
Chicago fans go hard for.
Chicago fans go hard for sure. It's a city I really want to explore.
Just don't explore during the winter. That's what I would tell you.
Our winters are no joke.
No, it's like a spring, fall.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have spring anymore. It's a problem in Chicago.
Fall is the best. Fall.
May, I'd say, is your best month. I mean, April.
May's always, man. That's my birthday month, and that's the same for New York.
I'd say May,
September.
Because April
September
it could still be cold in April. It was snowing. A lot of years it'd still be snowing up to April. And during the summer, it gets super humid, and it could rain during the day. And when it rains during the summer, it's buckets coming down.
No, it's like New York. I mean, it's very similar.
Yeah,
except it gets brutal in the winter.
The weathers in that Midwest is no joke, man. It's super, and we got that wind coming from Lake Michigan.
You spent a long time back in Chicago?
Oh, God. I lived there since I was like 12 years old. I just moved here like 3 years ago.
Yeah, totally.
So, man, I've lived there for a long time.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's cool,
I mean, the pizza, everybody loves the pizza over there.
Yeah, what's the name of the famous spot? I got to go.
Illuminati's?
That's it.
Giordano's or Illuminati's? Those are the best.
There's Giordano's, Illuminati's, Gino's East, Uno's.
No. We're talking about the
Uno. So check it out.
I'm a big Uno's fan.
I grew up on the Uno's that you guys, the chain went to New York, and I used to eat the 106th Avenue, but they started closing those out. But I know that the Giordano's is even better.
Uno's is overrated.
See,
no,
to me,
trash,
Uno's is one of the best, but she doesn't agree with me. So she likes Illuminati. She likes Giordano's much better. I'm an Uno's guy.
Lou Malnati's number one.
Okay, so now the one you have to try in Cali, because there's only, in my opinion, first of all, there's only 2 deep dish places that can even have any respect for calling themselves Chicago here.
Are you into deep dish? Because I'm not so much into the deep dish. I like a regular
pie.
Right.
You got to go to Grimaldi's, and Grimaldi's is the one from New York. That's the best one. It's got one in Manhattan Beach. But for deep dish, Zachary's. My government name, Zachary Chicago in the Bay, in the East Bay is incredible. And they got Hollywood Pies in LA. That's fire. But besides that, dude, I can't wait to go to Chicago because I know it's going to be the best.
There you go.
We're going to hit it up.
When you go to Lou Malnati's, they got a dessert. They make a small personal pizza. They make a hot chocolate chip cookie.
Talk about Chicago, you got to check out the hot dog spot over there.
All right, so we're going there ASAP.
You got to try Gin and Juice.
Okay.
The hot dogs, yep.
Good hot dogs, good fries, good everything.
I know you got great steakhouses out there too and all that.
Oh yeah, Gibson's and everything. They got good stuff.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, before we let you go today,
totally,
go ahead and plug in whatever you have coming up, whatever you're working on, and please plug in your social media pages, which we will have down below in the description. Please follow Zach and everything he's doing.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. So it's real easy to find. Everything is DJ Bander, DJ Bander. You can find me like that on Instagram, Twitter. You can Google me. You'll find my website. I do a lot of work with different artists, services, production needs for anybody. And I have a new single out, Asymptomatic. The link to that is in my bio on Instagram. And I'm on IG like all the time doing live. So hit me up on there. And I'm looking to obviously doing more collaborations with you guys on there. And there you go. So there you go. You can find all the links.
If you guys want to collab, there you go. Hit him up.
That's it.
Talented people, not anyone.
yeah, exactly. We're picky over here.
There you go. Brother, it was a pleasure for you to come over here. Thank you so much. You're a friend of the show. Anytime you want to come in, you're always welcome, my friend. Thank you.
My guy, thanks, brother. We'll do it again soon.
We're going to go back to the masks.
Mask up. We're going to the 6 feet.
Mask up. All right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
My friend.
Much love.